Hello, everyone, and welcome to Visual Radio. It is Thursday evening, April 19th. It's the birthday of Genya Raven, the great blues singer. So in honor of Genya Raven, I brought in State Rep Paul Donato. Hello, Paul.
I'm not going to do any blues songs.
No, Genya, it's hard to top. I'm not as good as Genya. No one is. She's like a Janis Joplin.
Oh, okay.
But she'll slap me if I say that. She has that kind of Janis Joplin sound, but she does cabaret too. She's really good.
Oh.
So happy birthday, dear Genya.
Yeah, happy birthday.
And one other birthday, Andy Chernoff of the Dictators. He was on the show. So two of our friends out there in rock and roll land. So one of your people, Kevin,
right,
has a...
Kevin Shea.
Kevin Shea had a record store.
Major record store in Newburyport, and did very, very well, and closed it just about a year ago. Gave all of the records to his nephew, who's still running the Newbury record shop in Worcester, Mass.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's still in Worcester.
It's still in Worcester, and that's where Kevin grew up, and he does a great job and very exciting. Knows everything about LPs, 45s, and like you, has a memory of all of the great artists.
Monday, I was with one of my clients up in Lowell. We were at UML, which is University of Lowell.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to LTC, the public access station, which is in a mill. And Joe, did you go there?
Yeah, it's huge. It's amazing.
So Dan Toomey's the programmer, and he did the radio show. He brought us over, and there's 4 floors. And they have 2 studios. It's just amazing that Lowell has this. Then we went to CAP Radio, and they sent me around the corner to Garnick's Music. Around the corner from WCAP in the heart of Lowell, the guy has about 1 million albums.
Oh, yeah.
And that's 1 million vinyl. That doesn't include the DVDs and the CDs.
Wow.
He has a storage area with like 500,000, they told me, records.
And I think that Kevin has probably a good 10 to 25,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, he was in that business for a long, long time, and knows the business very, very well.
Saturday is the 3rd or 4th annual record store day. So 3 or 4 people a few years back decided to have a record store day for the mom and pop stores around the country to bring attention to them. It's fun. So Newbury Comics participates. You can go online to recordstoreday.com and see all the stores. And they give away free product, and sometimes there's bands, but it's just kind of a little festival for music stores.
And when is that?
Saturday, this Saturday.
At in Newbury?
Newbury Comics, and you have to go to recordstoreday.com, and it's a national thing.
Oh, fantastic.
So for record stores, I'm going to send Kevin an email in case he doesn't know.
Can I get a Connie Francis album?
I'm sure you can. I got a nice box set off eBay. I got a nice little box set of her. I love Vacation.
That was my favorite singer when I was a kid.
Great.
Your age,
tremendous.
sort of, you know.
She was just tremendous.
Yeah, and I haven't seen her in a number of years, but today, or yesterday, Dick Clark died, an icon in the industry. I mean, he made rock and roll what it is today, and he brought pop. He brought not only pop but rock and roll and hip hop and anything else that was musical. He brought into the world.
He brought a lot of attention to many deserving artists.
Yeah.
My friend Bobby Hebb, who came to TV3 Medford and played there for a Christmas party.
Oh.
Bobby passed away a year and a half ago. He wrote the song Sunny. Sunny.
Yeah.
So,
yesterday my life was filled with pain.
Filled with rain.
Rain. Oh, not
rain.
Well, mine was filled with pain.
No, it wasn't, Paul. Bobby toured with the Beatles in 1966. And then he toured with the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars.
Oh, really?
With Jimmy Page and the Yardbirds, Jeff Beck and the Yardbirds. Jeff left during the tour. Brian Hyland, Gary Lewis and the Playboys. It was a really nice show. Just the program book alone goes for hundreds of dollars on eBay.
Really?
But Bobby is an amazing man. And as you know, we have a lot of amazing
Talent.
musicians come through here.
Absolutely. I keep abreast of what you say, write, and do.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I do that constantly. I read your emails, the good ones and the other ones.
Well, the other ones, I'm just a critical guy, but I'm having fun. Speaking of election time, you're running for office again.
I'm running for re-election for the state representative seat, 35th, Middlesex, Medford, and Malden.
You got my vote, and my roommate always votes for you too. He loves your birthday cards. That birthday card you send out means a lot to people.
Yes, it does. It's interesting because there are times that I'll go to the food market or at the church, and I'm coming out, and people will say, I got your birthday card. But you know, one of the things, you get a birthday card for me, but what's the difference when I send you the birthday card?
Personal note?
That's exactly right.
And
I
I
send a personal note to everyone that I know. So I go through the birthday cards, and if I see somebody I know, I write a little note saying thank you for your support, or I saw you at the supermarket, and it's amazing sometimes, and I'll feel bad if I'm at a senior citizens party. Someone will come up to me and say, I got your birthday card, thank you. As a matter of fact, it was the only card I got.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, and that's a little heartbreaking because, you know, sometimes we forget our mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers who, you know, sometimes just a card and a thought or a phone call would brighten their day.
It means a lot to people.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to know that, you know, my roommate Jeff's never met you. And he just appreciates your card.
Oh, that's great.
So for people that don't know you, and you know, it's like this man is thoughtful. It speaks volumes to your constituents.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that, and that's why I continue to do it. But again, it's a tough year for all of us in government because of the financial situation that the state and the country is in. And we have, unfortunately, many human service programs that are, you know, deserving of additional dollars, along with the cities and towns, and we just don't have the wherewithal to do it. So, you know, it makes it very difficult for us at the legislative level to try to pick and choose where you're going to, what priorities you are to spend the money that you have to spend. But we'll persevere, and we'll make sure that as much as we can to get things done.
Can we take the temperature on Beacon Hill right now?
Yeah.
Things moving forward?
Things are moving forward. We've made it possible that we're going to keep the local aid at the level that we did last year, which is a win for local aid because generally it has been decreased. Chapter 70, which is the school budget, we've increased that by some $65 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, and there's a item in the budget for what we call circuit breaker to help those who have special needs programs that has been increased by $8 million. So both the school and the city are going to be functioning at a better level than they have been in the past few years. And we're trying to make up the additional dollars that we got from the federal government in the past 4 years that we're not going to get this year. In addition to that, we're doing a $200 million Chapter 90, which is the state roads and major roads in the cities and towns, and we've put a bond bill together for that, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do another $1.1 billion in a bond bill that will allow for some special projects throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So the atmosphere is one of caution, one of concern. We started the budget at approximately $970 million in debt.
Oh,
But we've got $1.4 billion in a rainy day fund. We're going to use $400 million out of that $1.4 billion. I think we have the third largest rainy day fund in the country, and
that's
so
impressive.
We've done that. So we're going to use some of that money and some other accounts that we're going to pare down and balance the budget with that $970 million shortfall that between what we get as revenue and what we get as spending, so that we'll be able to have a balanced budget. But there'll be programs throughout the Commonwealth that we'll have to sometimes do without or do with a little less. And I think it pains everybody in the legislature when you have to do something like that, because we know, particularly in the human service programs, whether it be senior citizens, the gay and right and lesbian programs that we try to do with HIV awareness, the children's programs with the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Clubs, the teen programs that we have throughout the Commonwealth. Those are the ones, unfortunately, that take the biggest hit. And we have to be cognizant of what the concerns are of those human service programs, because if we can stem some of the difficulties at that early age, we can probably save more money as they progress, because they may end up costing us more money in other kinds of difficulties, whether it be mental, physical, or incarceration.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're doing those kind of things. That's you know, that's the tough part about it being legislature. The good part is that you know, as you said, I can send out birthday cards, but more important, you can talk to the constituents on a daily basis and find out exactly what their needs are, and if you can help them, then, and if you can help 1, 2, or 3 people a week get through the bureaucracy, then you've accomplished a great deal and made it so that they can feel good about living in the Commonwealth.
A lot of people don't know how any of the systems work, and you almost have to, some people you have to almost school them, right?
Absolutely, and sometimes, you know, we can't do everything that someone would like us to do.
Right.
But one of the most important things we can do is help guide them through the system.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's you know, someone needs the ride, and they're calling the phone number, and that phone number is busy 24 hours a day. So we may have a different access to that phone, and we can give it to the constituent and say, try this, or get online and use the computer if you have one, and get online and put this code in, and you'll get the application for the ride. And sometimes all it is just educating the person as to the right method to get something done. Whether it be you know, the registry no longer sends you a notification that it's you know, that your license expires on your birthday. I don't know if you and your audience know that.
No, I don't know that.
Yeah, you better look.
Because it's coming up in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
you know?
And
So Paul's got me working already, people.
Yeah.
You know, we go.
if your license expires,
Library
generally, Joe, you got a letter in the mail
Yep.
saying your license is expiring on such and such a date. So let me suggest to you, because you can do it early, let me suggest to you that you go to the registry and renew your license.
I just got this 2 years ago. I think it's good for 6 years?
Yes.
All right, I got it 2 years ago, so.
Okay. So that's,
Terrible photo. Awful.
they
Awful.
never give you a good photo. But I think that's one of the things I'm trying to point out to you, is that that's something that most people don't realize. Then all of a sudden, they're driving down the street, and then, you know, they get pulled over for going through a red light, thinking, okay, let me talk to the police officer and say, you know, I didn't see it. And then all of a sudden, the you know, police officer say, by the way, do you know that your license expired 6 months ago?
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, and then before you know it, you're handcuffed.
Now, you're my state rep in Medford. I live in Medford, as people know, and you handle some of Malden.
Yes.
But a state rep really represents the Commonwealth, am I
That's
correct?
Yes.
Because you're voting on things that affect people in Worcester.
All over the Commonwealth.
But I'm not really sure of that, which is why I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my concern naturally is for my district, and if there's a district issue, I want to make sure that I'm cognizant of what that issue is, and make sure that I'm doing what's in the best interest of the people that I represent in the district. But at the same time, we, you know, as legislators, are voting on laws and programs and issues that affect the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts, so that we have to be concerned for our districts, but at the same time be concerned as to what effect it has throughout the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
That's fascinating to me. Now, because I'm in Winchester, I like to bring up Winchester issues as well. Medford's on the border of Winchester, so do you get anything that you have to deal with Winchester items or people from Winchester
No,
specifically?
my good friend is now the town manager, former mayor of the city of Malden, Richard Howard, and my district does not border Winchester. But we do have...
right, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, but we do have something in common. We have two major programs in common. One is the Stone Zoo.
Ah,
And, you know, that's very important to the people in Medford, Malden, Melrose, Stoneham, and Winchester. The second is the Middlesex Fells. That's important to the Medford, Malden, Winchester, and Melrose people, because that's, you know, 30% of the landmass in Medford is owned by the DCR. So it's the Middlesex Fells, and it's important for them. In addition to that, we have, you know, issues relative to what roadways come, Route 38 in Winchester, Plaisted Road. Those are the major streets that abut the town of Winchester, that when we want to make sure that if there's, you know, proper police enforcement, that there's a cooperation between the Winchester Police and the Medford Police at the same time, so that we have things that are in common and things that are a concern that Jason Lewis brings to our attention.
Nice guy,
Jason, yeah, Jason brings it to our attention and says, hey, you know, we have a serious problem with regard to the zoo. We have a serious problem with regard to the Middlesex Fells. People want to use the Middlesex Fells for hiking and nature walking. And at the same time, they want to use it for walking their dogs, and we have to balance the two between the hikers and the people who want to walk their dogs, because, you know, if you're hiking and you're trotting, you don't want to be you know, accosted by an animal, and at the same time, those who are walking their dogs would like to take the dog off a leash for a little while to give the dog some real running room and exercise.
and sometimes there are mountain bikers. I don't know if they use it or if they can,
Yeah.
but, you know.
Well, we have that, you know, off of South Border Road. We have that problem where the mountain bike people are concerned that, you know, they don't have an opportunity to ride their mountain bikes because we have certain trails that are only for mountain bikes versus trails that, you know, are for people.
Thank you, Joe. I can see my battery going,
Oh, okay.
but at least I'm cognizant of it.
Is
I'm
that
having fun here
is
with
that for your heart, or is that,
No, my heart is on, I borrowed one from Joe. I borrowed an electric heart.
oh, okay.
But it's great having Paul Donato here, state rep. I'm up at the city council quite a bit. There's a lot of,
You're kidding, are you?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
there's a lot of stuff going on in Medford at the city council. It's fun here having a voice and having what they call the public forum, the people's forum, One of the issues 2 weeks ago was the Chevalier Theater. You helped put new seats in the Chevalier, am I correct?
That's correct, yeah.
It's beautiful in there.
Yeah. Actually, I'm the one who saved the Chevalier Theater. When I was the mayor of the city of Medford and chairman of the city council, we sold Medford High School.
Oh,
And-
I didn't know it was sold. Okay.
Yeah, and we sold the entire Medford High School to a developer who was going to make it into condominiums. The first developer that came also wanted to take Chevalier Theater and make that into, you know, I think sort of like studio apartments. And
Sure, with the high ceilings, they're
Yeah.
gorgeous.
so I was the one who led the charge to say that we weren't going to give up the historic Chevalier Theater. And so we did not, and that developer walked away. And then another developer came in, and we kept the Chevalier Theater. What is that?
It's probably John Byers.
Oh, okay.
Should we say hi to John?
Sure. Hi, John.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, former Mayor Donato.
Hi, John.
How are you?
Good. You don't get...
I just wanted to say hello to you and your guests, because I've known Paul for years, and I thought I would just call and pass my hello along to you guys.
Well, thank you very much, John, for calling. You're always on the phone. How do you get Winchester Television in Medford? I'm trying to do
Actually, I'm
that.
watching it on the internet right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you a wave.
I gotta lower this thing so that it don't give you feedback, but I'm
Toast to
watching.
Johnny.
I'll give you a wave, John.
Toast to John
Will you,
Byers.
John, or toast?
What was that? I didn't hear you.
A toast to you, John Byers. So give us the scores, and then we'll let you go.
Well, there are no scores to talk about. The Red Sox didn't play today. The Bruins currently playing. I don't have a score on that right now, but I know when you were mayor, Paul, you helped me out a lot, and I have to thank you for that. And I just have to tell one little brief story about how you helped me. I used to be a paper boy, and the agency that I was working for was being very nasty with me because they gave me a route that people had canceled a week before I took it over. They canceled their newspapers. And I was delivering for a week. I went to go pick up the money from the different people that were getting papers. They would not do, they would not pay me for the papers because they had canceled the week before I took over the route. The agency kept on coming after me, so I came to you. You called them up and you told them not to harass me anymore, and they did not harass me.
Well, I was
And that's
happy.
how, what kind of a mayor you were, as opposed to the current mayor who doesn't care for his.
Now, Johnny, we're keeping this a very positive
Yeah,
story.
I know.
We can go up to the city council and we can have our fun with our friend Mike.
I know.
So thank you for complimenting Paul, because you're not the only one I hear that from.
Thank you.
I hear a lot of good things about you, Paul.
John's a good guy, and I was happy to help him at that time, and he knows that my door is always open to him in case he needs me again. You have a good night, John. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks for calling in, Johnny.
Bye.
He's great.
Yes, he is, yeah. John is very conscientious, and you know, he was very, very articulate when he goes to the council meetings. He knows what he's saying, and becomes very articulate in his issues, and very knowledgeable about the issue he's talking about. So, and let me tell you, he knows more about sports than...
Well, you know he's famous on that. Do you realize how famous he is?
Well, I know that he's always on the sports networks.
They know him as John from Medford. Both EEI Radio and 98.5, this is very significant, two 50,000 watt stations, endorsed him for mayor. They
You're
gave
kidding.
him, no, they gave him so much press.
That I didn't know.
And, you know, and there was a certain TV station in Medford was saying, I'm his campaign manager. The kid's famous.
Oh, great.
He did that on his own. That was not me.
Oh.
And we had those people saying, he's the campaign manager,
Oh.
you know, and no, John's like, you know, he's John from Medford. You Google him. He's been doing this. They knew who he was here at Winkham.
Yeah.
They said, you know, John from Medford?
Oh.
He's got a voice.
Well, he's very knowledgeable with regard to sports.
Yeah.
And gets very involved in it. I'm sure that if he's not at the 100th anniversary at Fenway Park tomorrow, he'll be on the internet or watching it on Nessun.
Yeah. I took Johnny into the sports thing last May, about a year ago. He had Larry Lucchino set up, he told me, for TV3. And then he left. He stopped his membership. And so I took him into Boston, and we got him talking to Larry Lucchino.
Oh.
And we did a mobile. And then we were just walking around this big event at the, was it at the Heinz? I think it was at the Heinz in Boston. We met Bob Hildeberg, who works for the NFL, lives in Woburn. Now he's a member here.
Oh, great.
So just because I took Johnny in, we met someone else who lives near us,
Yeah.
and now he's a member of Winkham. So it's amazing how it all works.
Yeah, that's what's good about life, is that you meet new people, you meet people that are compatible, and the other important thing is people aren't afraid to volunteer to get involved in their community.
Right.
And that's what we love to have people do. Get involved. Whether you agree with an issue or you disagree with an issue, getting involved with it gives you the opportunity for, I think it's important when people call me and disagree with me on a particular issue, no matter what the issue is, so that I have an opportunity to digest that information or be educated or educate the person that is asking me the question about. That's what I think political people should be doing, and I find that most of my colleagues are doing that at the State House. They want to know what the people are thinking. They want to educate them why their voting record is the way it is, or they want to say, what do you think the issue is, and how can you educate me? You and I have gone through some differences relative to some of the issues that we have.
Absolutely.
And, but we've always talked about them, and we've always ended up by saying, okay, we don't agree on this issue, but I agree with you on the other issues, and I say, hey, if you add it up and I weigh it this way, and you say, hey, you know, I don't agree with them on one issue, but I agree with them on 85 other issues, how can I go wrong?
Well, exactly. And, you know, that's why, and when I say to you, people come up to me, I hear good things about Paul Donato, and that makes me happy, because I've known you a long time.
Oh, yeah, I've known your family for a long time.
You know, do you know that Johnny Byers worked for my dad on Park Street?
That I didn't know.
Johnny Byers' dad
Oh, Johnny Byers' dad.
was a delivery guy for us when we started over there.
Okay, I still think he's living on South Border Road.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Sandy and he still live on, I know that they were talking about trying to sell and move, but I think they still live on South Border Road.
I think they come back very soon because he lives in Florida half the year.
Right, yeah,
But yeah, you know,
good people.
yeah, Natalie, Johnny's grandmother. Now this is funny, people, because I met John through TV3, and you know, and through the whole city council and everything. I didn't know. My dad told me that his father is the John Byers that worked with us.
That worked them, yeah.
And Natalie, his grandmother, and Josephine, his aunt. Well, I used to drive Josephine home every night.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know if you remember them from the old Taylor
Sure I do,
Adams.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
Carl Galusi used to come in all the time.
Oh, that's right, yeah, because he was a peddler as well.
Right, from
Yeah.
Hunt, he was involved with the Hunt people.
Right,
Hunt Photo.
exactly, Hunt Photo, right.
Before it was Hunt Photo, it was Hunt Drug.
Hunt Drug, yeah, the Joel Faber and his brother.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I think Winchester's happy that they have your friend from Malden here, Richard, because they're building, I think there's school talk here.
Yeah.
And he did a good job on Malden.
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
he did,
schools.
he built the 4 new schools in Malden, plus a $70 million renovation of the Malden High School. And accolades from members of the city government and from the state government as well. Both Treasurer Cahill and Treasurer Grossman were very pleased at the way the city of Malden handled the school building assistant funds and the way the schools came out. So it's and they've done some innovative things. I know you know. I will say this because we're on a positive note tonight, and you know, Mayor McGlynn, for what it is, did a hell of a job in Medford with the brand new schools and putting it together. You know, sometimes we become a little ambivalent about whether or not we should have neighborhood schools, but in today's mobile society, I think people are more interested in the technology and the opportunity for their children to have all the new technical pieces of equipment that the schools can now provide, so that we've got to keep up with the times in the 21st century.
Like I said to the council, and I won't stay too long on McGlynn, but I say he's probably a really nice guy outside of politics. And as I said with the solicitor sitting right there, Mark Rumley, I said, you know, I think Mike's been in a little too long. And one area of complacency I'd like to ask you to maybe help him look at is these commissions we have. The Chevalier Commission, the Medford Community Cablevision, the Cable TV Advisory Board, and there's a bunch of commissions in Medford with his vacancies.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, he doesn't act on them. And I think it would be very good for him, very positive for our mayor, to fill those vacancies.
And let me say with all due respect, that it's easy to say that, and first of all, let me say I agree with you, that we have all these vacancies. But unfortunately, in today's very, very difficult society, we're not getting the people who stand up and raise their hand and volunteer and say, I want to get involved. So that if there are people that you know, I mean, I agree with you on Chevalier Theater. I think we need to put more commissioners on there and keep that thing going. And that's an important jewel in the downtown area and can be the catalyst and the magnet for bringing more people into downtown. The more theater that we put there, and I know that the commissioners have been trying to put theater there, and they've tried to put some shows. Some have been successful, some have not. I ran a show there about 5 years ago as a fundraiser, and I put 1,400 people in the theater.
That's amazing, Paul.
Yeah, I brought a gentleman called Michael Amante, who was a singer and a crooner, and I sold 1,400 tickets. But the amazing part wasn't the fact that, I was able to bring that many people. The amazing part was I went to the merchants in the square, in the surrounding areas, Bocelli's and Razzo's, and at that time, El Faro's when it was in business. And I said to them, we're going to put on this show. And when I advertise it, I'd like to say that you're going to give a 10% discount if somebody shows you a ticket to the show. And they were all excited to do that.
Great idea.
And after the show, I know that my son called me on the cell phone to say to me, Dad, the Dunkin' Donuts, as you know, the Dunkin' Donuts on Main Street, right outside of the square, was ready to close for the night. And all of a sudden, 200 people are going into the Dunkin' Donuts to have coffee and something else. And that's what can happen when you have this attraction of a downtown that has a vibrant, and Lynn has been trying to do it, Lowell does it, Worcester does it with the DCR Center. Those are the kind of things that we can do and become innovative. But we need creative people on the commission. We need creative people on some of those boards and commissions. And I think, from what I can guess, is Mike is trying to do that. But the problem becomes, and I say this to even the Winchester people, you've got to make a commitment to your community. And you got to volunteer. And it takes some time. And many of the organizations, Joe, whether it be the Sons of Italy or the Elks or the Knights of Columbus or the Moose, whatever organization it is, they're all waning. And it's because in today's lifestyle, everyone is so busy, and the young people are working 2 jobs and doing everything else, that by the time they go to the Little League games or the hockey games and all of the other things that are going on in their life, they don't have that extra 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week to devote, and they've got to sit back and look at it and say, wait a minute, I've got to make a commitment to my community and get involved and be a part of it. And, regardless of whether or not you go to that council meeting and people are concerned about, not concerned, but, hesitate to say, oh my God, Joe Viglioni's here again. That's not the point. Joe's there because he's concerned. Joe's there because he wants to, make a statement, and they're there to listen.
I get a lot of positive response on speaking out at the council. 100% positive. The negative that I read, I don't hear, is from the peanut gallery, and you know who I'm talking about, So it's like there are naysayers out there who don't want us to move forward and improve. But I'm very happy because, I don't know if you know, Paul, for years I've been trying to bring more people to the council. Because there are great members of the council, and I tell them they're all fine people, but some of them like having no audience. They're very, very happy with having no audience because they get things done their way. And I think it's very important for a vibrant community of 55,000 people to have more than just Joe V. and Anthony D'Antonio and John Byers and Gene Martin and Andy Castanetti and George Sacco, the usual. There's like 8 of us every week.
Yeah.
But 8 is better than 4.
Right.
So we've improved
Or
that.
8 is better than none.
Right.
And, but it goes back to what we said before. You've got to make a commitment, whether or not you're going to run for office or just be on the sidelines and being back of someone who's running for office, or concerned about your community no matter whether it is, whether it be the Chevalier Theater, the Cemetery Commission, the Arts Council. The Arts Council's always looking for more volunteers, of people to get involved, so that we can build up the arts culture in Medford. We almost had an opportunity to put a cultural center in one of our vacant schools, and that fell by the wayside. But somewhere along the line, we've got to think about the opportunity to do that. Somerville did it down in what they call Brick Bottom, and it's been extremely successful. Malden is talking about doing it at one of their old schools, and getting a cultural center together to do that. That's what it's all about, and that's getting involved in the community.
And I would like to see the Chevalier used in a way for a cultural center, because with Verizon here, and I talked to Bob Scarry, really great guy, and you've known Bob for years, right?
Right.
And I've known Bob, and he supports this show. I said the Chevalier Theater because Verizon's here now, and so maybe underneath the Chevalier, just a small room, where we could broadcast shows that happen there. And the comedian Gallagher, Chris Donovan, called me up. And you know Chris.
I know Chris.
And he works with his kid's in the sports, so he's heavily involved in sports. He goes, Joe, can you go see Gallagher? He's going to be the comedian. He's going to be at the Chevalier parking lot.
Really?
He wanted to see the Chevalier, and he was going to Mohegan Sun, and he had 2 days to kill. I said, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm here for 2 days. It's cheaper to come to Boston, to Logan, and drive down. So I guess he rents a car. And he came on the show, thanks to Chris Donovan.
Oh, wow.
So God bless Chris. You know, Chris came over with his son, and then he let us be, and we did
Did
our
he smash
show.
some,
No.
some watermelons? No.
No,
Okay.
but he's at the Chevalier. So I come over to the theater and I see him. I go, "You Mark Gallagher from Ed Markey's office?" He goes, "No, I have a meeting with Mark Gallagher, and I was supposed to meet him." And I finally said,
Given the business, yeah.
"It's me, Mr. Gallagher. It's Joe."
Yeah.
You know, he was like perplexed, but it was funny. He came on. He's a great guest. Chris wants him to do some kind of benefit at the Chevalier for the kids.
That'd be great.
It would.
You'd have to wear raincoats, but that'd be
Well,
great.
that was his concern. In fact, I mentioned your name. I've shown it. I said, yeah, and I believe Paul Donato, my friend, put new seats in here. He goes, I can't go in there and do my watermelon. If the state rep put new seats, he'll never have me back.
Well, the stage is far enough from the seats that maybe we could, put the top in the first 5 rows.
I will email that comment to him on his Twitter, and hopefully he'll hear you say it, because
Yeah.
I think he feared you the most.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll figure something out. We'll have to blindfold John Costas, because I'm sure he'd get nervous. But
John's a good guy,
yeah,
too. I'm going to be seeing
he'll
him.
work something out, I'm sure. That would be a great take. But that's the kind of things that I think that the commission wants to do. That's the kind of things that we want to do ourselves. You know, May Macabrook has started this cachet, which is putting all of the arts groups together.
Oh, that's right.
And we had a great right there at the Condon Shell on the Parkway. We had a great Saturday, and people were coming by and getting an opportunity to see some of the artwork that people were doing, some of the dances that Spring Step put forward. But the community was involved, and that's, when you stand back and see hundreds of people, young people, old people, and little kids getting involved in the community, that makes you feel good.
All right, so I'm going to say it right here with you here, Paul, what I'm talking to John Costas about. June 15th is a tentative date. We have the opportunity to bring in Peter Noon's Herman's Hermits, who's a close personal friend of mine.
Okay.
I've known Peter since 1980. I've known you a little longer.
Right, a little longer.
About 7 years longer, but I've 8 years longer, but I've known Peter since 1980. He contacted me to write the foreword to his book, which is now in the Medford Library.
Oh, my heavens, I didn't know that.
If you go to the Medford Library, just look up Peter Noon, Herman's Hermits, and there's a picture book, and I wrote the foreword. I mean, it's like, I'm not worthy,
Oh, wow.
My heroes. They can be your friend on one hand, but then they're your heroes, and you have to,
Separate that.
yeah, and you do, and I tell them that. I told Bobby Hebb that all the time. I said, we talk every night on the phone. I said, but, I'm still aware of who you are and your talent. And that's very important. Now, last week we had Gary DiCarlo here, who wrote Na 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 Na.
Yep.
Na Na Na. So I talked to Ian Lloyd of Stories, Louie,
Yep.
Louie, which is now that Louie show on TV. I said, hey, Gary, would you mind if Ian backed you up? So we have 2 #1 hits, Brother Louie, and he goes, I'd love it. Called up Ian, left a message. I'm driving home from Lowell on Monday. Ian Lloyd calls. He goes, I'd love to work with Gary. They met each other once. Through a mutual friend who introduced me to Gary, Charles Rosenet of the Beatles, the guy who did all the Beatles things. I'm sure Kevin knows Charles Rosenet.
I'll have
Big
to mention that tomorrow.
Beatles guy, Strawberry Fields Forever. So the stars are in alignment. June 15th, we could have Peter Noon's Herman's Hermits. There's a Kind of Hush. Brother Louie, Nana Hey Hey, Kiss Him Goodbye. And I can call up other friends. Little Joe Cook lives in Framingham. Peanuts.
Yep, oh yeah, I remember that.
Herb Reed and the Platters, he lives in Arlington.
Arlington, oh yeah, I know Herb very well.
Multi the Barbarians lives down there on the South Shore, ATD Radio. And the Fifth Estate, Cape Cod, Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead.
Oh yeah.
So they just reunited. This is just something we can do.
Yeah. So have you talked to John about it?
I have talked to John. He
good.
likes the idea.
Oh, great.
We just haven't had time to hook up, but I've got Peter Noon's agent on hold, so now I'm revealing all my hands here and my cards.
That's okay.
But you're here, and I just thought you'd be intrigued by
Yeah,
that.
I'm excited that you're having, a great opportunity to put Chevalier back on the map again.
And I have some very efficient business people that I know, a fellow here from Winchester, an attorney friend of mine, and they want to be on this little board I'm going to put together to bring in a monthly show.
Oh, that's exactly what we need to do.
Because, Paul, you know, the guests are coming right through here. Jodie Foster was on my show. I don't think we can get her, but, you know, she didn't come through here. I had to go to the Four Seasons.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I'm in touch with these people on a weekly basis, different personalities, and if we can work that together, that's why I think just a little Verizon, I said it to Bob Scary, a little Verizon thing under the Chevalier.
Well, have you talked to Phil about it, Phil Santoro?
No, I want to run it by him, and I want to run it by the nice people at Comcast Open Voice. Now, do you know about that?
That I don't.
Oh, let me tell you about Open Voice. Mayor McGlynn knows all about Open Voice. Comcast has 6 cities in the country. They're experimenting with a new form of public access. And so visual radio, you're on there already. You're on Open Voice. That little clip from your, when you won the election, and I taped you, that's up on Comcast Open Voice.
Okay, all right.
And we'll have this show up there very soon. And Senator Pat Jalen does her show here.
Oh, okay. Well, she represents Winchester as well.
Right, so we have 2 episodes of Pat Jalen that I want to hook up with Open Voice. So right now it's just madeinmedford.com. And we want 6 cities in the country that are the experiment. By June, I think Tim Kelly of Comcast, the lawyer, is going to speak at the city council. They're going to unveil it. Mayor McGlynn will unveil it, make a press conference, and then it's going to be on demand. So this episode of Visual Radio People with State Rep Paul Donato will be on demand in Medford
Oh, great.
on this new Project Open Voice. So between Verizon's contiguous channels and Open Voice, I want to talk to both Phil and the people at Open Voice about working with us to have something downstairs at the Chevalier so we can have
Yeah.
because there's another access channel in Medford on Comcast, 41, is it?
For,
Public access, just blank.
I'm not.
We have
I'm not
15,
aware.
16, and 3.
Right.
But there's 41 that says public access.
That I'm not familiar with.
In Lowell, they have 2 access channels for public, and Dan Toomey told me on Monday he has all the foreign language on one channel and all the English on another, which is very good for both. You know,
Yeah,
so
Spanish
people,
speaking, and particularly in the Lawrence Lowell area.
well, they have all sorts of ethnic groups with different language, so it's really important that people don't get lost because the channels are so confusing.
Right.
So Dan's doing it's a lot of work for him, but he's building these 2 channels. So I think this can benefit the Chevalier. You see where I'm going with
Oh,
it, Paul.
absolutely. Listen, anything, as I said, I don't want to be redundant, but anything that's going to enhance the Chevalier Theater is only going to enhance the downtown. You know that Carol's, the old Carol's restaurant, Maury Carroll is now opening up Carol's Oyster Bar and restaurant and oyster bar at the old El Faro site.
And he'll be sitting in your chair with his brother, sitting next to him very soon.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And so will John Veneziano.
Oh, good, good.
So I'm inviting them all in.
And that's going to be another good gem in the downtown area. We've got Salvatore's. Where hopefully there's a terrific Chinese restaurant, the Blue Fuji. There's
It looks beautiful up from the outside.
It is a great Chinese restaurant. There's a great Thai restaurant on Forest Street across from the post office. So that's the kind of vibrancy I think that the downtown needs. And before you know it, if we get 1 or 2 more restaurants, I know the council is contemplating some kind of a home rule petition relative to revising the liquor laws to bring down the number of seats required. Right now it's 99, and they're contemplating bringing it down to 50. If that comes about, it may mean more and more smaller bistro types of restaurants will come in because they'll be able to have an opportunity to serve liquor as well. And that's only going to help the downtown area, so that if people go to the theater and come out, if they go pre-theater, they're going to be looking for some venue to go and eat. If they're done with the theater, they'll be looking for coffee espresso bars to go after they eat. You know, one of the things, you go to Stoneham, the Stoneham Theater,
It's beautiful, yeah.
Melissa's next door, and Felicia's and Gil Bocce's down the street. Those restaurants, when the theater is Friday and Saturday, you can't get into the restaurants.
And we taped George Jefferson there because I had an interview set up, and then we had to move it, and we did it over at the little restaurant right next door.
The important thing to consider, just if you're going to bring anybody into the Chevalier Theater, one of the most important things that has to be in everybody's mind is that, you know, people sometimes say, oh my God, the Stoneham Theater does this, or this theater does that. What they sometimes fail to realize is that Chevalier Theater is a 2,200-seat theater. So that when you put 250 people into the Stoneham Theater, it's almost a sellout. When you put 250 people into the Chevalier Theater, it's a paltry sum.
Yeah.
And it takes a great deal of work to put 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 people, because you're just filling the bottom floor with 1,400 people. You still got another 1,000 seats up in the top.
Yep.
And that's the hard part of the sell for the Chevalier Theater, is that for the small groups, selling 2,200 seats is a tough thing. For the large groups, they're sitting back saying, well, wait a minute, and the 2,200 seats may be just a little too small. So that's one of the dilemmas that the Chevalier Commission is dealing with on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis.
I should contact the commissioners, but I'll talk to John about that.
Yeah.
Because John's so cool. I want to help out. I
Well-
have all these connections, and Medford's just sitting there with this beautiful theater.
Right.
And you know what? I think all these acts want to play a new venue.
Yeah, and this is a great venue. We've got a great stage.
There's no doubt.
We're told that our stage right is the best stage right in the greater Boston area. So that does well, particularly for some of the theater shows and for some of the plays.
Frank Sinatra was there, Lou Rawls,
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy.
Right.
It's a legacy.
Yeah, we brought Lou Rawls there with the Kiwanis.
Did you?
Yeah, so the Kiwanis brought the Lou Rawls show there, and we sold 1,200 seats. So it can be done. You know, I don't want to listen to people say, "Oh, the parking, the this." What's the worst place you can go to eat for parking? The North End.
And people still go.
And people still go, and you can't get into all those restaurants. So if you give people something good, they're going to find a way to come to the show.
I agree with you, Paul.
Oh.
We've got about 2 minutes left, and if you want, you can stay for, we talked to Frank Dell'Estrito, a film critic, about Sherlock Holmes tonight. You can leave if you want, or you can...
No, because I have I have a problem listening to Basil Rathbone.
We're not going to listen to Basil.
Oh, okay.
No.
But I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here.
The door's always open to you. If you have issues, Paul, and you want to talk to people on camera, you know, it's a friendly atmosphere here.
I can see that.
Tim is our new member, and he, thank you, Tim, for directing our show tonight. I am honored that you chose our show to be the first show you did as director. So,
Well, thank you, Tim, for your help, and thank you, Joe, for inviting me.
thank you, Paul.
Maybe I'll come back again.
The door's open.
Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Yep. And State Rep Paul Donato here on Visual Radio, and now it's time to talk to Frank Dell'Estrito about the wonderful Dress to Kill movie. That'll be on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. But we talk about it on Thursday night. I'm so nervous because I just...
Frank Dell'Estrito, talking about movies. Joe, how you doing?
I'm so nervous. I just started in TV. Can you help me out, sir?
Okay.
Dress to Kill with Basil Rathbone.
Yes. How much time do we have tonight?
We have 6 minutes.
6 minutes, okay. Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson made 13 Holmes movies.
13.
And this, 14 Holmes movies, and this was the last of them, 1946. Quite a few of the movies you show come from the late 40s, when Hollywood was transitioning from the war years to the post-war years, from pre-television age to post-television age, and there was a lot of upheavals going on. And one of those things that went on was the old franchises died out. The horror films died off. They still made Tarzan movies, but on quite lower budgets. A lot of the detectives, the war years were great years for detective series.
See, that's our film director, Anthony Gamari, who goes into our vault. We have a vault that's temperature controlled, and he goes through the films, and I can't get them out of his hands. It's like, Anthony, stop looking at the film. I've got to air it. So we finally get Sherlock Holmes on it, but we have the film vault here.
Okay, well, I can sympathize with Anthony because this is a supremely watchable film. This is a real fun film. It's a good mystery. And the thing I like about the Holmes movies, as the years went by, they seem to get better. The first two Holmes movies were made in 1939 and were set in the Victoria era. And then Universal bought the series from Fox, and at first had Sherlock Holmes fighting the Nazis in the first three movies, and that didn't quite work. But then when they got the war out of the picture and concentrated on traditional Holmes mysteries, thefts and murders and things like that, they abruptly got better, and they kept getting better.
I mean, that's like having Perry Mason representing, the victims of the Nazis or something. It's not part of the lore. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah, I mean, they're not bad movies, but they're not. I mean, when you've seen the good ones, they definitely fall behind them.
Right.
And one of the reasons the Holmes movies got better is late in the series, they came up with the gimmick of having Watson, who's kind of unlike the Watson in the stories or in some of the other movies. Watson is kind of a befuddled, funny little man who, and in the late movies, they had him inadvertently solving the mysteries. And in this particular one, there's a code. I'm not giving anything away because you'll figure this out very quickly in the movie. There's a code in the notes of some music boxes. And Holmes, works all night on it, can't crack it, and Watson says, "Well, I know how hard it was for my music teacher to teach me the notes because she had to do this." And he gives the recipe and Watson and Holmes look at him and says, "That works. That's it." He cracks the code.
Isn't there like a theory that Watson was the mastermind behind some of the solving the puzzles?
Well, not in these movies. I mean, Watson...
No, but with Conan Doyle. That was part of the lore.
Yeah, well, there's a... I can't claim to be an expert of the Conan Doyle stuff. I do know that, though Moriarty is mentioned, Moriarty never appears in the movies. And how much of it... How in the stories, I mean, you never see Moriarty. He's always talked about, but he doesn't come in any of the stories. And... no, Watson is not a fool is not a befuddled little man in the stories. Of course, he is writing them, so why would he write himself that way, even if he was? So, but I can't talk with any learned, whatever the word is, about
authority.
Authority, that's right. I've read them, but I think I read them all well over 30 years ago, and I haven't read them since. That's me.
Conan Doyle is a great writer, and this is really a classy film, wouldn't you say?
It is, and it's got a classy leading lady, Patricia Morrison, who is an excellent villainess, and the Holmes. I don't think it's not by intent, but it's not by chance either. That some of the better Holmes movies have the stronger villainesses. There's the Spider Woman, which is the most famous one. Mm-hmm. This is the Basil Rathbone one, and the Spider Woman, and the Woman in Green. And this one, and I mean, you could toss a coin as to who is the more clever villainess, Patricia Morrison in this movie, who plays a character named Hilda Courtney, or Gail Sondergaard in the Spider-Woman movie. So, they're strong. We often think of Hollywood as having kind of stereotypical damsels in distress and all that, but there was a lot of strong women in the 1930s.
Oh, I bet they were chomping at the bit to get the roles.
Patricia Morrison, I guess you're getting a healthy debate over this. She became a big star on Broadway after giving Hollywood a try, but she was brought to Hollywood and she was pretty much wasted. And for my money, this is probably the best role she ever had. But this was near the end of, Hollywood was about to give up on her. She was about to give up on Hollywood, and she wound up as a big success in Kiss Me Kate on Broadway, and then she did it on television twice. So that's her claim to fame. I believe she is still with us. She is. There's some dispute over her exact birth date, but she's nearing the century mark. But as far as I know, she's still with us.
Well, we've got 20 seconds left. You recommend the movie?
I recommend it highly, and I'll talk to you next week when we do Laurel and Hardy's Great Guns. Are we on next week?
We are, but it'll be during the day. I'll contact you. Thanks,
Okay.
Frank. All right.
Cool, I'll be ready.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you to Joe, Anthony, and to our new director, Tim, for tonight's show. Thank you.